Good morning, everyone. This is Lindy. So, I have a lot of you talking about buying solar generators. Great. Exciting. Exciting news. Good for you. But do you know what your appliances use? Look at every appliance you want to use and find out the wattage on that appliance. Solar is very difficult, and yet it's very simple. Okay? You have watts, you have volts. Watts is what your appliances need to run. Volts is what your solar system needs to turn on and run. Okay? So a 100-watt panel averages 22 to 23 volts. Okay? So if you buy I'm going to give you a good example. Well, I'll give you a couple. So I had if you buy a 700-watt generator, number one, it must have a regulated cigarette plug. If it's not regulated, it can't run your refrigerator. It can't run anything. I bought my 500 watt, and it had Bluetti, and unfortunately Bluetti did not at that time have a regulated cigarette holder. Didn't in plug. Did not know I needed one. Would not run this tiny little refrigerator I had. It was a car refrigerator. So that was my first mistake. Again, it's all a learning curve. So that's the first thing. Regulated, because you may end up with a refrigerator. You start out with a cooler. You're going to want a refrigerator. You can pick up one cheap. It doesn't have to be all these fancy $700-800 refrigerators. You don't have that kind of money. You can pick up something pretty cheap. Number two, what appliances are you going to run? Now, someone was talking about a CPAC machine. I haven't looked at my son's. I will next week. I don't know how many watts it takes, but it will say right on the machine, written right on it, on the bottom, on the back. Every appliance has to have it, how many watts it's going to use. You take those watts per hour. So the wattage that it uses 50 watts. That's 50 watts per hour. You divide that into 700. How many hours do you have? So 50 watts, you have 14 hours. It's that simple. It's that simple. Now, when you want to, many of you may not have any panels, but you have to think about panels if you go off grid. I mean, many of you can just plug it in. Well, great. But you still don't really have a complete system until you have panels. And a 700 watt, you could get by with a 100-watt panel, but the reality is it would take forever. I have, and I learned from experience, I have 300 watts. I actually have 400. I have 100 suitcase and 300 on my roof. I I have a 2000 Bluetti, and it takes a minimum of 500 to keep it up every day. So I fight with my 2000 every day, trying to get sun, trying to, sit in the sun, and my front end's in the shade today and the back's in the sun. So you have to have enough watts to keep your machine up. So I think a 700, they recommend 200 watts. So get 200-watt panels. They run under $100 a piece. Then you want to think about, now you have to connect those panels. Are you going to connect them to a suitcase and just sit them outside? Are you going to connect them, put them on your roof and connect them that way? Okay. Jackery is probably one of the best products on the market. It really, really is. However, Jackery has proprietary, I don't know how to say this. Oh, you can only use their products with it. Their products are quite expensive. Now, most other ones you can take and buy a $100 uh, panel with a W4 connector. You can't. You can't with a Jackery. You have to go through all kinds of. It's just crazy. So Jackery for me, because they're so expensive, not because of what it does, was just beyond me, and that's why I ended up with Bluetti. And Bluetti is considered number one in many people's reviews. Bluetti does have a 700-watt solar generator. And when it first came out, it was $449. I don't know what it is right now, but I'm going to start checking again and researching, and I will let you guys know. These are just simple things. So if you want a small unit and you want a CPAC machine, know what the watts of the machine are, divide them in to the generator watts, and there you are. It's that simple. So next we're going to talk about putting solar in house, because I really want to give you guys a warning about that. So I will see you next time. This is enough for right now, I think. I hope. And I'll talk to you later. You have a good day. Thank you for being a subscriber. I really appreciate you. Camo.